There's no cap. There's not a real number out
Phil
there.
Knight's on record as saying, I want to see a national championship for Oregon in football before I die.
Steve Sarkisian in Texas are looking to spend between $35 and $40 million on their football roster this season alone. And to those out there who say this is unfair, this isn't right, if you got the money, then why not spend it? At least until we hit the so-called salary cap that may happen after July 1st if the House settlement gets approved. We'll see how long that lasts after. But it's just like Saudi Arabia. You want to know why you can get a gold Lamborghini? Because you can. You have the money. You might as well spend it. It's their money. They can do what they want with it. If they want to spend $35 million on a roster, they can. Ohio State just spent $20 million on a roster and won the national championship. Because at the end of the day, money is king. Now, there is some nostalgia for back in the day where we just hand prospects a bag full of money on their official visit and then never say anything about it and hope not to get caught. But those days are long gone. So if you got the money, you might as well spend it. If you're rich, you might as well enjoy it, and it does lead to winning at the end of the day. David Cohn, you know, we have a list here we're going to get to.
Yeah.
And right now, it's still the wild, wild west when it comes to NIL, at least before this settlement gets approved. If it does, and there's still some questions we're going to get into. But if you're a school like Texas, or you're Ohio State, or you're Michigan that can spend $12 million on somebody they think that's a generational player, why would you not go spend that money the best way to help you win? And that's by bringing in talent. Like I see people downplaying Texas saying this is a bad thing. You got an advantage, use it.
Downplaying Texas saying it's a bad
Saying, oh, it's not fair that they can spend this amount on a roster, yet my school can
None
only
of this
spend
has been
18
fair.
or 20.
None of
yeah,
this
it's
has
never been fair.
Like, that's what has led to my frustrations. I mean, we had a whole hour conversation about this with Jim Cavell, so I don't want to recap all of that right now. College football is in, I think, a very dangerous state right now of having absolutely no regulation. But again, that's a different conversation. Maybe we'll get this House versus NCAA settlement will provide a little bit of clarity. I don't necessarily think so. I think that may make things even more confusing. But while teams are going to spend money on players, and this is going to be more like a professional league, or at least a semi-professional league, then we might as well break down the top 10 NIL collectives for people so they understand where the money's going.
No, without a doubt. I mean, it's really a LA Dodgers situation when it comes down to it. I just want to ask you, Blaine, quickly before we get to this list. If you were an athletic director, let's say of a big-time school, and I said, all right, football makes money, men's basketball makes money, baseball almost breaks even, no other sport makes money, and you got a rev share allotment, which is part of what Texas is going to use to spend the money. It's not all just from their personal collective fund. What are you doing with all the other sports that doesn't make money? And are you going to spend any of that rev share on those sports?
No, I'm not. I probably would cut all other sports.
Cut all the other sports.
I want to win a national championship in football as many times as I can.
Is that going to guarantee that?
It's going to give me a lot better odds,
Is
a lot better chance. I mean, look, at the end of the day, when it comes to college football, it's not about education anymore. No one cares about that. It's how much can you give these guys money to come play for your team. That's it. If Texas is going to give $35, $40 million, probably just to Arch Manning, we'll see what the rest of the roster looks like. I don't blame them for that. I mean, if it's me, what's king? College football is king. Well, I mean, Nick Saban will be known forever in all sports. Hell, you go probably talk to a softball coach, and they know who Nick Saban is because of what he did at Alabama in the national championship. I don't want to cut the sports, but I just love college football that much, and we got to win it. We got to win it. And look, I get it. Sometimes the most money doesn't win you a national championship, but sometimes it does. We just saw Ohio State win it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So would you two guys have gotten to play college athletics if that had been the case? I mean, you wouldn't have gotten to play baseball at South Alabama.
At South Alabama.
I played football there, so I mean, if that would have survived.
Is it profitable?
Well, I don't know if there's a profitable sport at Western Colorado.
That's what
it might just cut the college.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it might just cut the entire
with college
sport.
baseball, you may end up only with like 6 teams. You'd have like,
I'm sure LSU, because I love college.
But that's not how it works. You can't just keep a couple teams that like are profitable or break even. You don't have anyone to play. That's not how you do it. It's not like Nebraska volleyball can exist, but then have no one to play.
Well, I mean, again, there are no rules, David. You're acting like there's rules in this thing. There are no rules. I would say, I wonder, though, in all actuality, and we're in like the heat of college baseball season, how many college baseball teams in Division I are profitable? Like, I would guess Tennessee. I would think LSU, they'd probably mostly be in the SEC, but you think of places like Cal State Fullerton, or some places that don't have football, are Division I football. Like, Villanova basketball makes money. Villanova football, I'm guessing, does not make money. That'd be an interesting deep dive. We need to do that. But we deep dove, on something else, Coney. What list do we got here for the
top 10? We're going to go in ascending order. Let's go in ascending.
That sounds
order.
right.
Who do we start with? Who do you think's number 10?
These names.
Can you guess?
I would not have guessed 10 or 9. So the top 10 NIL collectives, this was released January 31st of 2025. We'll know full disclosure about the other ones at the end of this year. Missouri at 10.
Good job,
Missouri at 10.
Every true Tiger.
There is nothing else to do. The Cardinals suck. Let's put all our money. And look, Missouri's won what? Double-digit games the past 2 years? Drinkowitz out here throwing it around.
Yeah, I hear you. Brady Cook was a free agent in the NFL this year, so he's going to sign with the team. And you lose Luther Burden III.
Dog.
Hey, good player.
Dog.
Real good player.
But I mean, you get, was it Bo Prabula from Penn State?
Yes.
In the transfer portal. So, like, Missouri's out here throwing money around. I don't see Auburn.
It's so random to me. Missouri's so random at 10. I would have never guessed Missouri.
Would you have, I would be dead. If you'd have said, Jake, gun to your head, who has more in the NIL collective, Missouri or Alabama? I would have said Alabama 1,000%. Boys, Alabama isn't even on this list of the top
This
10.
is from our boy Pete Nakos, right?
This is legit. LSU isn't on here. Now,
So
again,
what's the dollar amount that Missouri's spending?
They disclose.
yeah, he'll look it up. I just and again, I want to let people know, the way that you disclose NIL, the rule is within 30 days of a player that signs a letter of intent to your school exceeding $600, you must report that. Now, we're not done yet with the rosters. I know the portal is open, the portal's closed. It really is never closed in actuality. But what I'm going to be interested to see is which teams get replaced when this list comes out again later in the summer. Because remember, after July 1st, if this House settlement gets approved, there's supposed to be a salary cap, a hard cap of $20.5 million that will go into effect July 1st of this year.
I don't buy it.
Now, and Cone, tell the people why you don't buy it, because this is right.
If you don't collectively bargain with the athletes, how can you institute a cap? This is the whole problem that we're in right now. We're in a situation, you can't tell a kid he can only play for 4 or 5 years. What if you want to play college football for 12 years and that's your source of income? You can open a lawsuit. What if you don't want to go to class anymore? You cannot make me accountable to go to the academic side of this institution. Yeah. I'm just here to play football. And if you are going to try and hold me responsible for going to class, I'm going to open a lawsuit. Well, how can you hold a team responsible for saying, well, you can't spend any more than this money? I know what happens to the Dallas Cowboys if they spend more than the NIL cap. I know what happens to them. I don't know what would happen to Missouri or to Texas or to Tennessee if they wanted to spend $30 million of their revenue sharing from TV rather than 20.5. And also the language here says this settlement, if approved, would allow schools to share a portion of their revenue. It would allow them to. So there's no mandate on what you can share, what you can't share. And again, we got a long ways to go before this is even put into place. But how are you going to put a cap on it?
Well, to your point, David, even in the language that we hear coming out of the NCAA, they're saying that even if the House settlement gets approved, that there will still be open to legal challenges because there's no collective bargaining. Because collective bargaining is not in this settlement. This is not, okay, now you can collective bargain, or your employees are this, that, or the other. What is to stop Texas if this does get approved and they say, you know what, no, we don't want to, we want to spend more than what the cap is on it, and then we go see that challenge. Again, like Jim said, until we get a collective bargaining agreement or something, this is still going to be open to interpretation. So
here's Missouri's football schedule. Central Arkansas, Kansas Jayhawks, Louisiana Raging Cajuns, South Carolina, and they got South Carolina on the road. They get UMass at home, Alabama at home. They go to Jordan-Hare to play Auburn. They come to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. Then they get a bye week. They got Texas A&M at home. They got Mississippi State at home. They go on the road to play Oklahoma, on the road to play Arkansas.
I mean, we'll say I don't expect Missouri to be able to recreate what they've done the past 2 years. But as far as a dollar figure, and what else is crazy is these like the teams involved are different for each university that are getting some of this money. Like you look at the list, like Missouri, for example, is football, men and women's basketball, men and women's track and field, baseball, softball, volleyball, gymnastics, women's soccer, men's golf. And then you look at like Louisville, who's next on the list there at 9 with the 502 circle. It's just football, men's and women's basketball, and volleyball. So it's not all of the ancillary sports. So you're getting to pick and choose, obviously, which ones that you want to funnel money into.
Well, it says here, Missouri in 2024 got a $62 million donation for the NIL fund, and approximately, from an athlete standpoint, there's $18.4 million in their NIL.
Okay, so that puts them at 10.
Yeah, I got to give Missouri credit, man. I didn't expect to see that name or the next name on the list at 9 with Louisville. Now, I do want to make sure that we understand Louisville is as big in basketball or bigger than they are in football. If you look at the money that Pat Kelsey and the Louisville basketball program are spending on getting players right now, they are dropping the absolute bag on guys left and right. So men's basketball being included within the athletic department's NIL and this collective fund is going to be big there. I'm wondering how much of an effect that has on them being there at 9. But they hire Jeff Brom, bring him in. Who did they get at quarterback this offseason? Miller Moss.
Old Miller.
From USC.
And you got a quarterback drafted this year. And Tyler Shep.
Yeah, and if you look at Louisville and you look at their roster, I mean, it's a skill position, and even up front, I expect Louisville to cause some problems in the ACC. So I was surprised to see them at 9, but when you add in basketball as well, which is huge there, being in the state of Kentucky, it does kind of make sense. So we'll see how they do in the ACC this year. We talked with Andy Staples the other day, Coney. Louisville may be a dark horse for the college football playoff in the ACC.
Here's their schedule. Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, bye week, Bowling Green. They got Pitt at Pitt, Virginia at home, another bye week. Then they go to play Miami. They get Boston College at home. They go to play Virginia Tech. They get Cal at home. They go to Clemson, they go to SMU, and then they end the year with Kentucky at home.
So your 3, you go to Miami, you go to Clemson, and then you said they go to SMU?
They get Clemson at home.
They get Clemson at home. So can you go 2-1 in those 3 games? If you go 2-1 in those 3 games with that non-conference and handle what else you're supposed to handle, we'll see about Pitt. We'll see about some of these other teams.
If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. Clemson is in Louisville.
Clemson is in Louisville. God, I tell you, man, that SMU pick last year came through for me. I may have to lean Louisville. I'm not there yet, though. But all right, let's put the list back
up. Do we know their amount?
$20 million. Around $20 million. Most of it's spent on college basketball.
Yep, that's what I would think. So we were at. You said,
is that right though? Because I've heard that the breakdown is still going to be for a lot of these schools is still going to be like 70% is going to be on football, no matter what they consider their big. There's 100 dudes on a football team.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Well, again, this is where I'm so. This is probably where the debate of football school versus basketball school, or what is mandated or what makes the most money, I think becomes an actually relevant conversation. Like take Kentucky, for example. Like you look at Kentucky basketball to Kentucky football. If I was Kentucky's athletic director and I'm allowed to spend money on whatever sport, whatever amount I want, knowing that I'm going to get the TV money on the football side from just the SEC's deal for ESPN, why would my people want me to spend more money on basketball than football?
No, there's no way. I mean, you need 120 guys to field a football team. And my brother-in-law is the golf coach at Kentucky. I've talked to him about this a number of times. And that's another example of that would be a sport that would just go away. You know, you would have no golf program at Kentucky, which I think lessens the collegiate experience, in my personal opinion.
I think it does, too. I think there's a balance.
That doesn't mean you just out of the goodness so your heart can have every single sport that's ever existed.
For sure.
Still, SEC schools should have a golf team.
I agree with that. Because you can afford to have a golf team. No, I agree with that 100%. The next one on this list, not surprising at all. It's Nebraska at 8. We're just wondering, when the hell is this going to pay off for Nebraska? I mean, you have Dylan Raiola, obviously, that's there. We'll see how he progresses. But Nebraska is not afraid to spend money, and, buddy, they've got it in droves. To be honest with you guys, I'm surprised they're not higher on this list. I thought Nebraska would be higher because at the end of the day, we know the tradition that Nebraska has in football. We know the love of Nebraska for football. And, I mean, again, we talk about location, even though that really doesn't matter anymore because you can fly anywhere, go anywhere. It's not like we're, stuck in the 1920s where you're trying to drive everywhere. I was surprised to see them at 8 on this list.
The 1890 Nebraska. The names just keep
that's the
getting
collective
better.
name?
That's the name of the collective. It's not 1890 anymore, guys. Y'all gonna have to start figuring out. I think right now their number
Or 1990 for
or
that
1990 for that matter. And right now their number's sitting at I see 21.2 mil.
Okay.
Remember last year we were saying the Buckeyes are spending $20 million on their roster. How insane is that? That doesn't even get you in the top 8 these days.
No,
That's just a
buddy.
year ago. Here's their schedule. Cincinnati in Arrowhead.
It's a sneaky football
They
game.
open up in Arrowhead Stadium where the Chiefs play to play Cincinnati.
Cone, like, I know that I say I hate neutral site games.
This doesn't count.
Except for postseason. This one is like the Oklahoma, the Red River Shootout.
Yeah.
I'm good with.
If you're playing in Arrowhead
This
or
is
Lambeau,
pretty dope.
Yeah, that's
This is pretty
or even
dope.
the Yankee Stadium. The Yankee Stadium bowl
Don't
game,
mind that.
they do that.
But see, that's a bowl game. I'm good with that. This is like one of the few caveats I'm okay with on neutral site. This is dope.
So Cincinnati in Arrowhead. Then they get Akron. They play the HCU Huskies. Then they get Michigan at home. Then they get a bye week. They get Michigan State at home. They go to Maryland. They go to Minnesota. They get Northwestern at home.
Okay.
They get USC at home. They go to UCLA to play in the Rose Bowl. So they get to play in Arrowhead and
Against
the
Nico.
Rose Bowl in the same year. Bye week, they go to Penn State, and then they finish with Iowa at home.
I just
That
don't
sucks.
I just don't.
Well, look, Dylan
Cincinnati's
Raiola
not
has
going
to
to
be
be a
good.
walk amongst the tulips either.
No, like Dylan Raiola has to turn into Dylan Raiola, or they're going to be a mediocre football team. Like last year,
Maybe he is.
their defense.
and that's the worst.
What if he just is?
What if he is?
I mean, you had what? You brought back 90% of production last year on your defense.
Okay, hold on. Let me just, something just clicked in my head. You mean to tell me that Dylan Raiola, who cosplays as Patrick Mahomes,
opening in Arrowhead?
is going to play in Arrowhead?
Yeah.
They did that show on purpose, man. Like, dude, like, come on.
Smart.
It is smart.
Maybe that'll
dude.
help him become.
Oh,
Dylan
God.
Raiola
That might
he
be
needs
it.
to
That might be
become.
the key.
You better ball or they're going to roast you, dog. They're going to absolutely roast you. All right, so we got the numbers for Nebraska. You said it was 21 point something million?
Yeah, 21 mil.
All right, next up. Boy, talk about not spending your money in the best way. The battles end. Florida State. Their collective. Woo! I know you're looking up the numbers right now.
Can't go 2-10.
You can't go 2-10. How do you? That's almost impressive. That's borderline impressive. You missed that bad? David, if you gave us three 20 what is it, like 21 and a half, something like that?
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
About 21 and a half, a little bit more, to go build a football roster in the ACC, and you were coming off a year where you went undefeated, and what'd you beat? I mean, I know you got left out of the playoff, but it wasn't like just the whole barrel was empty. We could put together a team that win more than
I'd
two
like to
games.
try.
I think we could walk around an hour and a half for like a circumference of Nashville.
And if it's going to be 2-10, I just say we three pocket the 20 and just get a
Why
bunch
not?
of dudes to
Maybe
play
that's what they
for
did.
free. Because if you're going to go 2-10, you might as well go 0-12.
I mean, that's tough. You're sitting there at 7. The battle's end. It may be ending very soon. You got their schedule there, D?
Oh yeah, I do. The first name up, Alabama. You can play Alabama, but they get them at home. Okay, so
Good luck.
We're gonna find out. You better hope Castellanos it works out.
East Texas A&M. They'll beat
Isn't that the Junction Boys?
the Lions,
Oh.
apparently. They're going to beat
Close.
them something fierce. Then a bye week. Kent State Golden Flashes.
Okay.
Then they get Virginia on the road. They get Miami at home. Pitt at home. They go to Stanford. Then they get another bye week. Wake at home. They go to Clemson. Virginia Tech at home. They go to NC State. And then they get Florida on the road in Ben Hill Griffin.
Can they get to 7? How much
Can they get to 3?
Can they? I think they can get to 3 with that. I mean, you lose to Kent. You lose to East Texas A&M.
It won't happen. They'll beat them by 60.
Yeah, there's no way they'd lose to them.
To
who?
East Texas A&M.
You didn't even know that was a school.
I thought that was the
before you
school
said
from
that.
Glory Road that like beat Kentucky in the finals. We'll see with Florida State. Then another surprise here, guys. Ole Miss at 6.
Are you surprised?
I'm surprised. Ole Miss. Listen, I know they got that old
They got
money.
money.
They got that old from the earth. We may have made some mistakes type money. You know, like decades ago. But I'm impressed, man. How are the two SEC teams in here. I mean, outside of you got Tennessee and Texas coming up. But, I mean, no Bama, no LSU, no Auburn, no A&M on here. We've got Missouri and then Ole Miss at 6. I've got to take my hats off to you. And not only that, do you see what Ole Miss is offering guys in basketball now? With Chris Beard, they offered Haggerty from Memphis $4 million to come and play. I think Memphis was offering him $3.5 to come back. But on the football side, you want to glow up? Now, Lane Kiffin's got to get over the hump. Y'all's ass can't be spending this amount of money and losing to Kentucky at home, and that making you miss a college football playoff. But I'm looking at Ole Miss, man, and where was the difference in Ole Miss these past couple years? It was up front. Everybody talks about the quarterback. I get it. Jackson Dart, first-round pick. We'll see how he does with the Giants. I think Austin Simmons is going to be a dog. But Ole Miss moved up because of what they were able to do in the line of scrimmage. How do you get better in the line of scrimmage? You buy linemen, offensive and defensive linemen. Kudos to Ole Miss there at 6.
All right, here's their schedule. Georgia State, then they get Kentucky on the road, Arkansas at home, Tulane at home, LSU at home. Then they get a bye week. They get Washington State at home. They go to Georgia. They go to Oklahoma, South Carolina at home, the Citadel at home, Florida at home, bye week, and then they go to Mississippi State.
Dude, that Washington State game is weird. That's a weird spot in the schedule.
October 11th.
So that's after 5 games, a bye week, then you play Washington State. Well, now's the best time to get them, I guess, since they're basically like the little orphan Annies right now of college football. Man.
So Georgia and Oklahoma back-to-back weeks on the road. Other than that,
doable.
Yeah.
Can you replace Jackson Dart?
The more we go through these schedules, and we talked about the post-spring top 25 and the Andy Staples, I'm just wondering, especially with what happened last year with SMU getting in over Alabama, and we had the 9-3 Ole Miss, we had the 9-3 LSU, we had the 9-3 South Carolina, we had the 9-3 Bama. Does that 9-3 team get in this year, but does your non-conference have to be good enough? Like, you look at LSU playing Clemson, right? Week 1. You go win that game, which I can't remember if that's neutral site or on the road, and you go 9-3 in the SEC. I think you may, and again, it's all circumstantial. We'll have to see how it
you're
out.
saying this like the playoff committee has a criteria we go by, and if you can find that, please, I would love to see it.
Well, we've been looking
at this point. I mean, you might as well play East Tennessee Tech, or as you're out of conference.
East Tennessee A&M.
Yeah,
East Texas A&M.
Who cares?
You'll be the first one to complain when that game comes up on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why won't Ole Miss play someone?
Absolutely.
Well, if they cover, nobody's complaining.
Yeah.
If they cover that 49.5 point spread.
I wonder who's going to be the horse.
No, but do we have a number on Ole Miss?
20 to 25 mil.
So it's got to be over.
Not an exact
on this
number,
list. It's got to be over 21.5 to 22. God, that's impressive.
They got money. There's one place in the SEC that you might not know.
Got that old white.
You go to Ole Miss's campus, look around.
But again,
they got
20
money.
to 25, and if they are allowed to share up to $20.5 million from the revenue sharing, then what is that number? If you already have 20 to 25 just on the collective of whatever, what is that? Just donations?
Yeah.
That's just donations, I guess, from rich dudes?
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
I love donations.
I got a 5th year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an 8th year. All right, going to 5th. Not surprised here. Miami, the Canes connection.
Yeah.
I think and I know people say, oh, well, everything's great for college football if teams are doing well. I want Miami to be good. I don't know why. I have no connection to Miami. I did grow up in the era of Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and those guys running around knocking people's teeth out. But you look at the money they spent on Carson Beck. The question to me is it's not on offense.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think Carson Beck is the greatest of the greatest. It's on defense. Can y'all go get somebody that can tackle somebody?
That's the Miami I want.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want Miami to go undefeated and have to outscore everybody. I miss the old Kanye, right? I want the old Miami when it was just Ed Reed, just everybody on defense were convicted felons and killing people during the game.
Whoa.
Allegedly.
You don't know that.
I know.
Allegedly. Ian. I do find it ironic, though, Dave, and I know you have a schedule pulled up, but I find it ironic that Florida State and Miami, if this list is correct, which we are going under the assumption that it is, spent over $40 million combined on NIL and didn't win the ACC. The ACC. We're not talking about the SEC. We're not talking about the Big Ten. We're not even talking about the Big 12, where that oil money is deep. We're talking about the ACC. What did y'all combine for? How many did Miami win last year? What did they win, 8?
I believe so.
So Florida State wins 2. Miami, y'all spent $40 million to win a combined 10 games out of 24. Is that right?
I thought Miami went 9-3.
Miami last year went 9-3.
I stand corrected. 11 wins.
Well, they went 10-3. They
with
lost
the bowl win. Okay, so 12 wins. So you do the math out on that. $40 million, 12 wins. I'm not a mathematician, but I don't think you got your money's worth there at the end of the day.
They lost that bowl.
They lost to Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and lost to Iowa State in the bowl game 42-41.
So did
it was the Syracuse. Remember the Syracuse loss knocked them out.
Knocked them out. That's right.
Because Clemson got to play SMU.
So do you consider that? Not even Miami fans. Do you consider spending that type of money, winning a decent amount of games, but once again not going to the college football playoff for winning the ACC? That's not success to me.
No.
That's not success.
It's just going down and look at Cam Ward's passing yards each game, how you didn't win every game. 385, 315, 350, 404, 343, 437, 320, 280, 400, 348, 280, 349, and he only played a half in the Iowa State game.
Play defense.
In the game, and he still threw for 200 yards and a half.
Stop someone one time.
This
was the year!
Titans made a good pick. How do you compare this to the Jaden Daniels LSU year?
A lot.
It's about the same.
I think Miami was worse on defense than that LSU team.
I don't know, buddy. God, that LSU team.
They were both bad. They were both bad, but LSU had a couple guys.
LSU had better receivers.
What is
I really like Restrepo, but we're talking about Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, you were freaks.
Here's their schedule. They open with Notre Dame in Hard Rock in Miami. Catholics versus Convicts, August 31st. Love it. Then Bethune-Cookman. Then the South Florida Bulls. Then they get Florida at home, bye week. Florida State on the road, bye week. Louisville at home. They get Stanford at home. SMU on the road in Dallas. Syracuse at home. NC State at home. They go to Virginia Tech, and they go to Pitt.
Doable.
It's doable. You got the new DC in there. We're going to see. I like him. I've heard good things about him. But with Miami, again, being in the ACC, and I would say with all due respect, but it's a disrespectful thing to say, I feel like you always got a chance. All right, now we're getting into like the people I expect. And to be honest with you, at 4, I thought Oregon would be higher. I thought Oregon with the Phil Knight Nike connection would be higher. And we know Phil's willing to drop the bag to win a national championship. He already said that. So the Division Street Collective at Oregon, which is that's got to be a street like right in front of the university, right? Like,
that's probably on Division Street.
Famous street or whatever.
You're on 3rd Street.
That's where Phil Knight was born.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning. We feel like, we felt like that it was Nick Saban, then Kirby Smart, then Saban retires. You feel like you slide Kirby Smart to where Nick Saban is as the best coach in college football. People will argue that. I understand that. But doesn't it feel like Dan Lanning may have kind of replaced where Kirby Smart was under Nick Saban as like that next guy up that we used to talk about?
Nah, Kirby's got 2 rings.
I'm just talking about like don't we feel like Oregon's going to break through though eventually?
Momentum is a real thing. Momentum is a great thing, but at some point, I'd rather have the two huge rings on my finger.
No, Kirby's above. I want to make sure I'm clear here. Kirby is above Dan. I just like Kirby replaced Saban, and Dan went up to the Kirby spot before he won. But to your point, Kirby Smart does have 2 national championship rings.
What are they spending?
Yeah, this is the number I want to know.
It says right now I'm seeing 26.
26.
But they said like with Phil Knight, it's unlimited.
Yeah.
Like it's like
again.
It's unlimited.
So what's the real
there's
number?
No cap.
There's no cap. There's not a real number out
Phil
there.
Knight's on record as saying, I want to see a national championship for Oregon in football before I die.
All right, well, speaking about spending money or saving money, with all the uncertainty surrounding tariffs, families across the country are potentially facing another wave of price increases at the grocery store. But there's good news, so everybody calm down, because GoodRanchers.com is a completely tariff-proof thanks to their 100% American supply chain. You'll get stable prices for high-quality meat grown right here in the USA without worrying about tariff-related price hikes. You know, the average family throws away $500 worth of meat and seafood every year. Good Ranchers helps you avoid this waste with their vacuum-sealed, individually wrapped cuts that stay fresh for a year in your freezer. Plus, their cuts are pre-trimmed by professional butchers, meaning you only pay for meat you'll actually eat. No more trimming 10% off before cooking. You get more value with every bite. My wife literally used some of the Wagyu beef to make meatballs for spaghetti the other day, and it was fantastic. Yes. We've used this product, going on 3 years, and it just keeps getting better. And here's an amazing offer with it. When you visit GoodRanchers.com right now, use our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, you get $40 off your order, plus free meat for life when you subscribe. Yes, you heard that correctly. You can choose from free ground beef, wild-caught salmon, seed oil-free chicken nuggets, or bacon in every box forever. That's $300 of free meat every year for as long as you stay subscribed. So in a world full of constant change, your mealtime can stay consistent and affordable. Visit GoodRanchers.com today. Use that code BOOSTER for $40 off and free meat for life. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. Doesn't this feel like Phil Knight? Have you ever seen the movie Prometheus?
Yeah.
When the old rich guy like keeps himself alive for 300 years to see it. Don't you just feel like when like Oregon maybe 80 years from now like wins the national championship, there's gonna be like a hologram of Phil Knight that like they show to the players like he's kept himself alive for this moment. You talk about I thought Oregon was gonna be one. I really actually
Well, they probably could be. I mean, it comes down to Phil Knight.
But wouldn't you
who has
wait till the start of fall
who
camp.
has unlimited money.
Wouldn't you brag about it though if you drop like $80 million?
Not if you don't win.
That's a good point.
And they did a lot of winning last year.
They did.
They did a lot of winning.
Then they saw Ohio
And the
State.
Buckeyes had them beat before the game even flipped over.
Yeah.
From the Texas-Arizona
It was
State
over
overtime.
with.
They were already winning and
Yeah.
never looked back.
I don't know if there's enough money last year that could have saved them from
Hey,
Ohio
speaking
State.
of that game though, was that not one of the most shocking ass beatings that you can remember?
was
like,
shocking.
like I was genuinely them beating Tennessee to death. I was surprised somewhat, but I wasn't shocked. What they did to Oregon shocked me because they beat them like Oregon was East Texas A&M.
Well, I mean, if you go back to the first
And they
time
jumped them.
played, Oregon's defense has never played good against Ohio State, especially last year. Never.
But the Buckeyes defense didn't play good that
which
game
was
either.
surprising to me because from a talent standpoint, Ohio State had way more talent on that side of the ball than Oregon did. So I guess maybe that game was at Oregon, correct? I guess they can get.
Remember that was the one Dan
put
invented,
13 people out there,
Yeah.
which was fantastic. But that defense showed up next time they played, and that offense, I never trusted Oregon's defense, especially in the secondary. And when you have guys like Mbuka and Jeremiah Smith running around, Travion Henderson and Quinchon at running back,
Well-
I mean, good luck.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, what defense is stopping that? Like consistently.
Michigan's.
Like,
Tell him, son.
here we
Huh?
go.
I mean,
okay. Okay.
Tell him,
Hold on,
son.
y'all stop me when I'm
Tell him,
y'all
son.
stop me when
No,
I'm
talk
lying.
about it.
Y'all
No, I
stop
get
me
it.
when I'm lying.
Tell him,
No, I
son.
get it. I stand
Hey,
corrected.
Uncle Wink came in there and said,
Yes,
"Yeah, stop
sir.
that thing."
No,
Yes,
I stand
sir.
We're
corrected.
gonna win 8 games.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was a hell of a 7-5,
sir.
buddy. Y'all beat Bama and Ohio State with
What a
7-5.
year.
Buddy,
That's
I
a
was-
hell of a
What a
7-5.
year.
Smiling.
That's
Oh,
exactly
all
what
right.
7-5
What's
like
their
that.
schedule?
That's good.
Here's Oregon's 2025. Montana State home, Oklahoma State home, Northwestern on the road. They play Oregon State at home. They go to Penn State bye week. They get Indiana at home. They go to Rutgers. That's a long trip.
very good.
Wisconsin at home, another bye week. They go to Iowa. They get Minnesota at home. They get USC at home, and then they go to Washington in that really cool rivalry at the end of the year in Husky Stadium.
Oregon's going to be a very interesting team this year.
Yeah,
Lost a lot.
Well, you look at we know they're going to be talented
Yeah.
across the board. You lose Tez.
Dylan Gabriel's gone.
Dylan Gabriel's gone, but I think Dante Moore is the guy that's coming into Oregon now to be the quarterback.
Which we don't know a lot about.
We don't know a lot. He goes into that.
Played at UCLA.
UCLA.
Yeah, he did, but he's one of those guys that I kind of put him in the category of not one of these young freshmen that's going to be playing, not like Julian Sam, but almost like a Jackson Arnold a little bit going to Auburn. Right?
Yeah.
Some of these guys
Kind
that have
of,
been
yeah.
other
Yeah.
places.
Didn't Chip Kelly have him starting as a true freshman?
I believe
Wasn't that
he
the
did.
deal?
I
And they
believe
were
that's
really
right.
good on defense that year, right?
I believe that's right because
That's right.
I think that after that was the year where DeAnton Lynn got the USC or before he went to USC or something like that. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But when I look at the talent there, Oregon on the offensive line, on the defensive line, we know the type of team that Dan Lanning is going to put together, and they've got all the money to spend on. Oregon's going to win one before it's said and done. I think within the next 5 to 7 years.
So what's his top 3?
All right, number 3 is not going to surprise you. And to be honest with you, at the end of this year, I think they're probably going to be number 1. Number 3 is Texas, all right, with the Texas One Fund. And again, we've seen, I don't know, outside of maybe the Michigan story of spending $12 million on Bryce Underwood, if anybody else has been launched into the NIL spotlight like Texas. Remember when they had all the Lamborghinis show up at the official visit or whatever that is? Texas is going, and they have been going all in. But you talk about deep pockets. You talk about one of, to me, like I said, they are one of the Saudi Arabias of college football. We just got all this money. Again, do I want a toilet made out of gold? Do I want an AI robot chick walking around? I can afford it and go get a great quarterback and go get offensive linemen. What I'm interested to see here with Texas is how it equates on the college basketball side too. Now with them being in the SEC and the SEC rocking and rolling in college basketball, and obviously them bringing in Miller, the new coach over there, after we know what happened to Rodney Terry after this year. But as far as football goes, you talk about having money and willing to spend. Again, Steve Sarkisian said they could spend anywhere between $35 to $40 million on football. This isn't the golf coach saying this. Is Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning. We're going to see. And buddy, what's cool about this, and I know I don't want to get too far ahead of the horse here, but on our list, number 3 and number 1 start the season off playing against each other, which should be called the NIL Bowl.
Yep, here's that schedule. Buckeyes on the road in Columbus, San Jose State at home, UTEP at home, Sam Houston at home, bye week. Florida on the road, Oklahoma neutral site in the Red River Shootout, Kentucky on the road, Mississippi State on the road, Vanderbilt at home, bye week. Go to Georgia in Sanford Stadium. They get Arkansas at home, and they get Texas A&M at home.
Okay.
We're going to find out real quick about Arch.
It's just amazing to me. Y'all remember when everybody was just crapping on Ohio State last year for having a $20 million roster?
Yeah, I know.
And now look at this. That got doubled.
Which really, in reality, which I'm going to bring up last year's to see how many of those teams made the college football playoff, but it was closer to 30, I guess, reported.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who knows?
That's the thing.
Fugazi.
Just money in there. You got to put it on the line.
It's like I was watching Jesse Waters, his show, and he was interviewing the Doge guys, and he was talking to the guy they call Big Balls, who's like 21 years old. And he's like, so how does it work? He's like, well, it's pretty simple. I'll look at like an item line, and it'll be like $20 million. I'm like, all right, we spent $20 million. Who did it go to? And they're like, we don't know. So they just add it in there.
Mine only goes one way.
Like, so this is why they're just like, hey, here's $8 million, and we don't got to tell you. Or, hey, here's $9 million. Just don't put it down. Just don't put it. That, to me, what happens, to your point earlier, and I think this is actually a really interesting situation. What happens if this House settlement gets approved? There's obviously no collective bargaining in it. They set the cap at $20.5 million. What happens if the NCAA goes, hey, Texas, you spent $28 million on a what are they going to do to
Well, what they'll do is they send them a letter, and then the letterhead at the top says NCAA on it. Then it says a lot of things like, we have evidence that you did this, this, and that, and then nothing.
Just nothing.
And then like 2 years pass by, and like you're in trouble and you're bad, but then they've already made the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And
who cares? Texas pulled in $331.9 million in athletics revenue, which is number 1 in the country according to the
How much again?
athletics database.
You said $331 million?
$31.9 mil.
So that's more. There are countries that don't have like the GDP of that.
No, yeah.
Texas is.
If Texas wanted to, they could probably take over Canada.
For sure.
that was Texas or Tennessee?
Texas.
Okay. So Tennessee is 2 on this list.
What's Tennessee spending?
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Clearly not enough to keep Nico around.
No, well, they're going to get some of that money back. They're the only team on this list.
Let's see.
If this Arkansas lawsuit works out with Tom Mars and Nico's little brother, I think Tennessee could recoup some of this money. So Tennessee, let's go ahead and lift the block so we can show the people. Tennessee is at number 2 on this list. Not shocked by this. I wasn't super surprised by this. It's the Spire Sports Group, okay? And the reason I'm not surprised is any school that has a Navy right outside of the football stadium, right there on the river, I'm not going to be surprised when you have a ton of money. But when you look at Tennessee, as far as a successful athletic programs, look at what they've done in football, right? You make the college football playoff last year. Look at what they've done in basketball. You're always going the Elite Eight, it seems. You can't crack the Final Four, but you will eventually. And then baseball, I mean, it's gorilla ball at Tennessee. So Tennessee is willing to spend money. I want to see the number.
I'm looking.
All since we moved here, really.
Well, you said they were going to win it in baseball. You broke the streak. You broke the streak. You got a number over there yet, Blaine?
Right now it says 25 to 35.
To 35?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
So the
big difference.
That's $10 million worth of difference.
I'm going to lean more towards the 35.
Yeah. Here's that schedule. Week 1, Syracuse, Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta.
Sneaky.
Aflac kickoff game.
Sneaky.
Shout out to the wife helping set that one up.
By the way, how excited do you think Fran Brown was when he found out that Nico was leaving Tennessee? It's like, we got a shot, boys.
We'll
We got a shot.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one. We might have to be present and accounted for.
Look,
Atlanta
y'all,
for that
I
one.
love presents.
ETSU, that one's in Knoxville. Then they get Georgia at home this year.
Okay.
UAB at home. They go to Mississippi State bye week. They get Arkansas at home. They go to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. They go to Lexington to play Kentucky. They get Oklahoma at home bye week. New Mexico State at home. They go to Florida this year. And then they get Vanderbilt at home to end the year.
God, it smells like 8-4, don't it? It's just what this.
Well, I mean, what do we think of this? The new kid coming in at quarterback.
Well, he may not be the quarterback. Like, they're going to battle it out. I mean, Joey, they basically, not that I think it was an even trade, but they traded with UCLA. We'll see with Joey Aguilar and then Merkslinger behind him. But Tennessee, it's obviously been flipped on its head, but they're willing to spend money to go get it, and they may get some of that back, like I said. Number one, no shocker here, and probably the coolest / weirdest name of a collective fund. And maybe you have some more history on this, David. It's Ohio State with the 1870 Society and the Foundation.
The Foundation.
Doesn't the 1870 Society sound like that thing that like all the presidents did at Harvard where they just get naked in a room with candles all around?
Sounds rich. It sounds rich, kind of like Stratford Oakmont.
Yeah, it does sound rich.
Old and rich.
They had some money at the end. Now, I don't know, them and Ohio State may suffer the same fate here in a couple of years if it keeps going the way it's going. But
I'm not leaving.
This surprises no one, right? How is Michigan not on this list?
Well, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Apparently, Michigan spent, $12 million on just one quarterback, and they can't crack into the top 10. That's why I'm not buying any of this. I don't believe any of this list. It's all going to reshuffle before fall camp starts. Portnoy's probably going to get on the phone and say, look, we gotta pump these numbers up.
Yeah, look. Really? We'll see. Not
Only
anymore.
16 million.
Not anymore.
I don't.
Not anymore. Maybe that's what they told you.
I think they're just doing a good job.
Yeah.
Hey, we're just going about our business. Chopping wood. Don't put us on any top 10 list.
No, yeah.
We're just going about our business.
If you get Bryce Underwood that amount of money, you got more money.
But they're not the only one. Who else sitting on there? I don't see Alabama.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Bama's
on there. You don't think they're spending money? I think they're just doing a better job of like, hey, don't put our information out.
If anybody can hide something, it's Michigan.
Michigan.
It's Michigan. All right, let's go.
I don't like
Let's
the
go
way
to
you
Ohio
said
State.
that. I don't like the way you said that, but here's the schedule. We already talked about it.
Deep
They
down
open
you
with
did.
Texas at home. Yes, a little bit of respect. Grambling State. That'll be 74-0.
Yeah.
Ohio Bobcats bye week. Then they get Washington in Seattle. They get Minnesota at home. They go to Illinois. They go to Wisconsin. Another bye week. They get Penn State at home in Columbus. They go to Purdue, UCLA at home, Rutgers at home, and they go to the Big House to play Michigan.
All right, there's the
Last
loss.
game of the year.
So you get Texas at home and you get Penn State at home. And there's no Oregon on that schedule.
No Oregon.
Damn.
Very favorable.
And you get Texas with a brand new starting quarterback after losing what they lost.
Now, this is what On3 put out for 2024 last season. I just want to rattle this top 10 off to see how many of these teams made the college football playoff. Last year, Buckeyes, #1. We had talked about it all season. Don't know what they ended up spending total. We had said $20 million before the season started. Then it was somehow $30 million. Whatever, they won the national championship, right? Next one up was Tennessee.
Okay, made the college football playoff.
College football playoff. #3, Texas.
Made the college football playoff.
Oregon.
Made the college football playoff.
Miami.
Almost.
And hold on, this is the one. All right, this is the email you sent me.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
This is from August 2024.
Okay.
Okay.
So you've got every team but Miami so far made the college football playoff.
Ole Miss.
Nope.
Almost. Miami and Ole Miss, almost. This is interesting. So you're at about like an 85% hit rate of making the college football play, which is not, I mean, you pay the most money. You're, like you said, Blaine, you give yourself the best
Ole
chance.
Miss, Florida State.
Yeah. They're not even
Nebraska.
Not even close.
Florida State.
God.
Louisville and Missouri. So this is the exact same order as this list.
I just, do you think, I wonder what the percentage overall for multiple years, like if we had like once we have like 5 years of a case study on this, the top 10, what percentage of those top 10 that spent made the college football playoff? That's what
I would think it'd be pretty high. I would think it'd be
you think it would be 70?
Yeah.
If you have 10 teams, there's 12 teams that can make the playoff. If anything past 60%, to me, because you have teams in the same conference. I mean, you got obviously Ohio State, you've got Oregon. Not that multiple teams can't make it, but you got Nebraska in there. You've got multiple teams from the ACC, multiple from the SEC. So it's going to be interesting.
I think it's more. I think it's just absolutely insane that Florida State spent that amount of money and you won 2 games.
Yeah,
you won 2 games.
Well, you have to miss at so many different levels. And
almost
again,
at all levels.
Well, yeah, remember, this is high school and the transfer portal.
Correct.
So, like, you bringing in freshmen, okay, I can understand if you allocated money for freshmen that are still working their way up, that are going through it, as opposed to guys in the transfer portal that you expect to come in and play now, like when you brought in DJU and when you brought in some of these guys on defense. And obviously it didn't work out. So we're going to see. You play the game in the transfer portal, you're going to have to spend money, and you better hope you get that quick return on investment. So we're going to keep monitoring this. Let us know which team in the comments surprises you the most being in here. Like I told you guys, it was Louisville for me. But at the end of the day, I think this list is going to be changing with a lot of consistency, though, at the top, because Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, Oregon, they're always probably going to be there. All right, Coney, what else do we got? There's some more news that's been.
Yes, Donald Trump gave a commencement speech at the University of Alabama, and he got introduced by none other than Nick Saban. Can we pull up Nick Saban? Because just seeing him stand in front of a podium that says President of the United States, 1, that's a heck of an image. 2, I want to know who would be his running mate. And 3, just listen to this story that he told when he introduced Trump.
Yeah.
And before I introduce President Trump, I have to tell you a story. You know, you all know that we win a national championship, we get to go to the White House, and it's a great experience for our players and each and every year. When we won in 2017, President Trump was there in 2018, very gracious host, and he's the first president that invited us to come in the Oval Office. So I take the 3 captains in the Oval Office, and the president's really nice to everybody, and he's got this very big, good-looking, auspicious box on his desk that has a red button on top. And one of the players said, "Is that what you launch the missiles with?" And he said, "Well, push it and find out." Player said, "No, I don't want to do that." He said, "Oh, go ahead, push it, see what happens, find out." So Rashawn Evans finally got the guts up, went over, pushed the red button. Some lady came in with a Coke on a tray.
That's so awesome. Rashawn Evans was an absolute dog, by the way.
Yeah, Auburn High School.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rashawn, for going to Bama. So, to me, Cone, Nick Saban, how many states do we think Nick Saban could win?
Nick Saban, if
he'd win West Virginia,
would win the presidency.
You think he'd win?
I think he'd win the
presidency. Can you imagine him in a debate?
And I would be more, look, I'm an Auburn guy. I'm an Auburn fan, born and bred in the orange and blue. I would be the most comfortable. I would have 0 worries if Nick Saban was the president. And you know who his running mate should be?
Me.
No, David. No. It should be Tommy Tuberville.
Go really Auburn, Bama. I don't know if we could.
That's a Democrat, though.
Kirby Smart.
Nick Saban in a Democrat.
Secretary of Defense, for sure.
Oh,
no, well, I think Kirby Smart. Absolutely. I think Kirby Smart's going to be your VP. Look, when were y'all cooking the best?
Well, if Kirby.
When were y'all cooking the best? He could be your J.D. Vance, and then
I'm basing this off as Kirby's still coaching. Still coaching.
Hey, it's higher calling, dog. We got to call you the biggest of the best.
Who would be Nick Saban's running mate? I'm calling. It couldn't be
Tuberville.
Why couldn't it be Tuberville?
We got to win more states.
Yeah.
You know.
Who y'all calling?
You can't. I'm worried about winning Alabama.
Up for the job. You know.
Are you okay? Yeah. There you go.
No, but I would say Saban and Kirby Smart. But what's crazy about this scenario to me is like it doesn't. You know how when some people get in front of the presidential seal, you're like, oh my God, thank God, like that person's not the president or whatever. Bro, Nick Saban looks presidential to me.
Had a good look to it.
He looks presidential to me.
Yeah.
And I thought there were some protesters, dozens of protesters.
I heard they all came over from Auburn.
No, that's a propaganda.
Well, we got a couple.
I've heard from trusted sources. I know that the University of Alabama on campus pretty woke group. Yeah,
it's not what I've heard.
That's what I've heard.
That's not. So here's the protesters, and you notice something similar about all of them. Go ahead and play it.
And universities across this nation, so that we can be the Tier 1 research university we so deserve to be, instead of the playground of a fascist.
The playground of a fascist. That's Why are they all old?
No, they're old and playing on the playground.
Yeah, why are they all old? I don't understand. I don't understand.
Baby boomers, man.
Well, you see how, like, Trump won most of the younger vote. I don't know. It's just, I don't think they go there. I don't think that chick sitting Indian style goes there.
Yeah, she doesn't.
So maybe there's some trouble down.
What Trump say? What was the line Trump said?
Yeah, let's play it. We have it.
Graduates of the Alabama class of 2025 standing here before you in this magnificent arena, it is clear to see the next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
It's a bar. Whoever wrote that, that's
you know
a
who
bar.
wrote that line?
And listen, as a guy from Auburn, I'm conflicted.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted.
He liked that line. Look at him.
Because the only way,
That's
if
true.
a Bama person gets in there, the only fascism you're going to
I
see
thought
is
that
toward
was
Lee
rather
County.
clever.
It'll look like Gaza.
If you
They've
look
got
at
enough.
What's going on,
They got
look at the
enough.
$5
Why are we not in
billion
Auburn?
dollars
Trump?
a year.
Why we got Bruce on the
It's
stage?
not going to be so.
Yeah,
forthcoming.
Why we got
Yeah,
Bruce
yeah.
on the stage?
It's over. It's
Now,
over.
wasn't that a clever one, though? Huh?
Yeah.
Who would think of that?
All right, what else we got, Coney?
There was a fan, MLB fan, who fell out of the stadium or
heard about
was like jumped out of the stadium at a Pirates game. I don't know what was going on. Do you guys know what happened here?
So I've heard, let's play the clip first to show the people, and then I want to tell you, what the fans around this person were saying before they just play this. How do you fall out of a stadium? Here we go. Here we go. Just jumps over. What are you doing?
Yeah,
What are you doing?
I don't understand. I don't understand. The ball's nowhere near him. It's not like you're going for a ball or anything like that. This guy right now is in critical condition and
Is he?
fighting for his life.
Is he?
Yeah. And
You fell, 25 feet?
close, but it looks like he jumped.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know, man.
It looks
Yeah.
like he jumped.
Weird.
God.
I don't know if you're trying to storm the field.
Man. Well, I said, and this is alleged, they said that fans around him said he was tanked. Like took his shirt off, got drunk, took his shirt off. Now, again, that's alleged. I wasn't there. I want to make sure, I'm not putting the cart before the horse. But, man, God, that's brutal, dude. I think as drunk as I've ever been, I think if I realized I was going over a railing, I would stop myself. But
Well, it doesn't matter how much I drink. I'm so afraid of heights, so it'll never happen.
yeah, for sure. Well, I'm
It'll never.
not even by
You even sit in front row?
I'll sit front row. I mean, I'm fine. I don't feel like that's you have to do. I would never do that. I could drink 60 beers and not hey, I'm going to jump off this.
No.
Never, no matter what.
I mean, the worst thing is
If the stadium collapses, it's my time.
Yeah,
That's
Jake's
fine.
asleep. Jake just fell asleep.
Yeah.
He didn't go over the railing. He just fell asleep. So again, praying for his
Absolutely.
recovery. That's horrifying, man. We appreciate you guys joining us. Have a fantastic weekend, a fantastic Friday, and everybody be safe out there and like the chances of me not going to the Starkville Derby this weekend. We're going.